being able to pull this win, very important.
Well, you know they're all hyped up now playing off of that game. I think it only gets better, which is kind of a scary thought that you can go up from where they were, and that's really what's going to happen in this game.
I think game one coming in here, you know, and I want you to talk in this weekend from the mentality. If I'm on that team going into game one is like, all right, yeah, let's go, bud.
Yeah,
and just kind of throw it at the wall. And then if we win, I'm like, all right, we can actually do this.
Yeah, especially from the support player's point of view. He was hitting all those pulls. He's going to be playing up. He's going to be ready to go. He's going to be doing all the things correctly. It's obvious he actually does know how to play the role. They can put him on gods that just supports the team, play as a core player around Deathpanter and Joshy. It's over.
Like I said, it's a hit-the-ground-running style of team composition they put together, and they really made it work out there. As you said, LASBRA wasn't the one getting the big numbers on board, not the big damage numbers, but he was putting up the supportive stats for him, getting those big knockups, hitting those volcanic lightnings to help out his team and really push forward there. And as we go into the picks and bans, I'm not exactly sure what they need to ban here. I mean, the Sylvanus was so good there from Ksier. I mean, do you take that away from him?
I don't think that's the direction you go in. I don't know if you start banning out the support position, because that's the thing is you don't know this man's god pool, so it's really tough to start target banning in that direction. As far as Armada's concerned, realistically, if I'm coaching Armada, I'm sitting there and I just go, shut up, forget about it, draft the same thing and trust yourself.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a way to look at it. I think maybe they draft the mage earlier so they aren't stuck on the one-dimensional raw. It seemed like they had one idea going into it. It did not work out. Also, Copebby definitely got shut down. Like, if you look back at the game, his damage numbers were low, which is what they have to avoid. He needs to be able to play, the game needs to play through him. And if LASBRA can stop him, what are they going to do?
And because his damage numbers were low, we saw in turn that sops wasn't able to get all of those big snipes on. There were multiple times where sops was holding on to that ult, holding on, waiting for the perfect moment to do it, and then he was dead, got caught with his tail between his legs.
I think that's what Insignem had as a step above Armada in the draft phase, where, yes, you could set up the mid laner, but Deathpanter can do it by himself. Whereas with Insignem, the Raw kind of needed that setup, and without it, kind of just floundered around. So as we get into the pick phase, ban phase almost over here, Armada with the first selection have banned out Odin and Freya, and Insignem on the other hand have taken care of one of the big damage mid laners, Opwash, and one of the big damage junglers, Mercury. Armada with the first pick. Do we see the Erlang Shen?
Possibly. I mean, I really think they need to prioritize these other gods. Terra is something that's definitely going to do wonders for them out of the solo lane. Maybe not prioritize a hyper pressure duo lane. They don't. Obviously, they aren't going to punish him. They tried. It didn't work out. Look elsewhere.
But again, at the same time, I mean, if they lock in this Terra, that's just free reign for them to snag the Pele back over on the side of Insignem.
Yeah, the Pele certainly worked out, and I think we could see aggressive Pele this time around. I think Insignem kind of played overly, or I won't say overly, they won the game, but I think Insignem played very defensively, thinking about the fact that they kind of had a hamstring in that support role, and he proved himself, and now I think they can go back to more of what they're used to. Just give LASBRA something heavy to hit people in the face with. So this is actually a different conversation. Sylvanus is, I would say, a very simple character to play in support. Fenrir, should this wind up in the support role, this is you're going from remedial support to AP support classes here at first period.
Oh yeah, and that has to be a Fenrir support. He's feeling himself. He's ready to go. He went into that. They asked him, "Can you play this?" He said, "I will do exactly what I have to do."
You don't think that that's even a chance of being solo Fenrir?
If it is, I'd be super surprised. I mean, he landed pulls, man. If he can land those crazy pulls, he can land some Fenrir stuns.
Especially pulls through walls, not just like out in the open in the middle of the lane, hey, I see you there. These are through the wall, having to take like shots in the dark for a lot of these ones here. This is also Insignem saying, we got nothing to lose. Let's give it a shot and see if it worked. It's worked for us in the past. Let's see if you can do it.
You do have this buffer game. This is the best of 3. So Insignem, should they lose this one, they do have a third game to really bring this one back. Roll the dice. I'm with you. Play some scallywag and just go for it. Fenrir in this guy in Ksier's position. Listen, I really enjoyed watching his interview, and so I spent some time with him and talked to him. This guy really has thought about the game. He understands it at a high level. Whether he can push the buttons is a different story. If you ask me, game number 1, he proved he could. So I'm excited here. This is a really exciting moment. I think if you're an Insignem fan, they've got Fenrir, Pele, and Jing, which is a fantastic draft. Terra, Erlang, Shen, and Sol. strong in its own right.
I think it's still a strong draft. They drafted the mage earlier, which was I really wanted to see, and they're allowing Copebby to have the counter to Pele, or a decent counter, the Erlang Shen. He can push the game, control the pace of the game, which is what they have to play through. Talked about that before. But still, like you said, Insignum's draft, hyper-aggressive now in the duo lane. There's no way Armada expected them to be playing that.
This is Insignem they have the early and mid game. Sorry, Armada, you lose the early and mid game, or at least break even. If I'm on the left side of the screen, I'm trying to find gods that can either tread water in that early portion, or gods that are really going to punish in the late game.
And we're seeing two very targeted bans here from Insignem. Both times for Armada. Game number 2, when they're kind of on the back foot there, they've banned X-Ball, or they've been picking up X-Ball for sBennyQ there, and Thanatos doing so well for Copebby as well. As you've said before, that's one of his premier go-to gods.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's surprising that they really don't think that's an Erlang Shen jungle. They're pretty sure it's support, which it obviously could be. I think taking away the what I would consider comfort picks, sBennyQ, Xbalanque, the Thanatos, is really going to affect the rest of Armada's draft. We'll never know what they were planning on picking if it was one of them, but I really think those are smart bans coming out of Insignem.
And you know, with looking at the Erlang Shen, I think you go, maybe it's probably jungle. Maybe not. And on the off chance that it isn't, Cope's the one that we have to be afraid of. So ban the Thanatos. Again, Insignem own the early and the mid game. Thanatos is going to take that mid game and will be able to execute late game. Fantastic ban here. But they're going to go back to the Sylvanus. So the Fenrir will be likely in that short lane. Sylvanus worked out fantastically in game number 1. Is the Fenrir solo a bad pick, or?
Not necessarily. I mean, as long as he can sustain in lane, if it is a Terra solo, he'll be able to pressure, be able to go and look for invades, which would be crazy out of the solo lane right now, pushing out their lead early. And like we said, the Sylvanus, still safe, still smart, still practical, allowing the pressure to be played out of the other side of the map.
A Musin Cobb being thought about here for Armada. Musin Cobb and the Awilix, and yes, I'm asking for this because Copebby, I mean, you used to have a logo based on Circuit. We said you were the Circuit, right? Cope is the Awilix, and he's going to lock it in here. This is close your eyes, tell me your favorite god, and lock it in. I don't care what the draft is on the other side. I don't care what the draft is on this side. With that said, Awilix into Fenrir and Jing is a very nice look.
Yeah, they also have the knockups coming out of Erlang Shen, which is obviously support. That we talked about comfort picks for a minute. He's probably the best Awilix in the world.
Yes.
So I'm hoping we get to see the best Awilix in the world this game.
I mean, you want something to combat the early to mid game that Pele can bring? It's Awilix. That character is really gnarly in the early stuff.
And not only that, Awilix is just great at locking down a lot of these more immobile gods, like the Sylvanus can really kind of just sit down into that lane and not really have to worry about too much. Also strong up against the Fenrir, obviously, in the Jing, which uses that agility to try and get away. Yank her back in after that knockup.
I love how Insignem has figured out this draft, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it's actually coming from Ksier himself, understanding the dynamic. Both game number 1 and game number 2, Insignem have opted to give Deathpanter a character that can peel for itself. Yes, your job as a support is to go ahead and peel, but I'm not as good as you guys, so make sure you can handle your own nonsense, and I think that is absolutely incredibly intelligent coming out from Insignem. It's one thing to be confident, but you have to be cognizant of your own shortcomings at the same time, and I think Insignem have attacked this situation perfectly. They've given the tools to their hard carries, their jungler, and their mid laner, and they've also noticed where their divots are going to come in and tried to fill those as best as possible. I got to give a round of applause to Insignem for handling the situation extremely intelligently. Across the way, Armada, a little bit more disjointed than what I would have expected, but everybody's got what they're looking to play hard. One word answers. Gentlemen, will we see a game 3?
No.
Yes.
All right,
so.
Split down the middle. This one's exciting. Game number 2. Let's jump in.
I actually think we might be right about something. I don't want to be too offensive to him, but yeah, he might be, you know? Like, it looks like Armada's composition's looking pretty good here, Aggro.
And Cope's on the signature selection, the Awilix, in the jungle for him. And this is the god that Cope really made his name with in the ranked scene and all that kind of stuff.
Rival won with it earlier on, right?
They did.
100% win ratio so far.
Well, no. Easy peasy.
No pressure, Cope. Easy game, easy life. You know what they say, you know, if it's 100% win rate, it must be amazing.
Is that what they say?
I mean, that's what I've read.
Oh,
For the
okay.
most part, anyway.
Airy solo, 100% win rate this lane.
Oh, God, kill me. I just don't want to go in ranked with that. That's what I'm worried about. Okay, well, we do get a Fenrir in the solo lane this game for Zearoe up against this Terra matchup. That's one of the matchups we saw the Ares in, actually. But why is Fenrir being in the solo now?
Solo Fenrir is something that some certain solo laners have really liked for a while. Scary D's played it, if my memory serves. Zearoe, I believe, has also been able to use it before. And it does a lot of the same things that solo Fenrir does. It's just that it gets ahead so it can afford to build a little bit more damage to the mid-game. SmiteVOD feeds because of the flawless route from Ksier, but
that's what I expect at this level of play, and that's what I expect from that man on your screen. Plat one in a dream, my friends. Plat one in a dream. That's all you need in the world of Smite. And that's funny enough, I want to talk about this a little bit more because of the fact that it doesn't matter what rank you are, as long as you can play as a team and coordinate, you could get on a big team.
Wait, I just realized, I think LASBRA might be just the better version of you. I mean, you could take a team of Plats to World via coaching, but he could actually take them while playing.
I can't go that far. Listen, I'm a support main anyway. That just makes it even more awkward. So a bit of an invade out of Armada there, though, looking for that red buff, but they weren't able to find it because I do like the fact Insignem were defending their own jungle as we watch LASBRA and Cope trading off in that jungle area right now. It's an important game for Cope, I think, and, well, the whole team of Armada in general. But we're always looking at Cope, I feel like, to be the backbone of it and allow this team to do what it needs to.
And Awilix is the type of character that really can hard carry a game like this, where you have these games that are a lot of fighting between these two minor league teams. You'll see a lot of fights that really shouldn't normally happen. And Awilix is very good in those sorts of moments.
And you saw a bit of aggression there out of Insignem. They're getting a bit feisty, this duo lane of Insignem there. Stepping up and looking for the boxing match, but a bit of trust didn't really work out there. The route was just off the mark. Oracle's going to go the way of Insignem here, however, which means there's a little bit less farm for Armada to abuse in this situation right now. I'm just keeping an eye on where these junglers go. I don't know the matchup of Pele versus Awilix because I've not seen it too often.
I'm sure many haven't because you don't see Awilix that often, but I think that Awilix is very similar to Pele in that she can move around the map very quickly in the jungle. She's going to clear pretty quickly as well, and you have to be able to peel her on the back line, but the main difference being that LASBRA, once he's in, can survive a lot better than Awilix can, and that's where a big difference will be. Featherstep's good, and then you're there, and that is it. And you're not, I don't know, life-stealing for your entire health bar or getting extra power because you got low. It's just not going to work the same way. So they're similar in the regards of how well they can farm the jungle, different in that LASBRA has more survivability once he's in, but the burst damage that Cope does, it has to be respected. It's very, very high.
Purple buff coming up on this left-hand side. Armada already in a position to start taking this down. But the call was made quickly, and that pull from Ksier was close enough, but it's enough. With LASBRA and Deathpanter rotating to defend their jungle once more, important to try and keep an even keel in this early game.
The Sylvanus selection is there so that Insignem isn't just getting ran over in this lane, and it's definitely a good idea. I'm just surprised that Armada keep getting Erlang Shen, number one, and number two, aren't giving one of the best gods in the entire game to their best player in Cope. There's two schools of thought whenever you've got something very strong with a really strong player is, do we give it elsewhere, knowing that Cope will be able to step up and play well on other gods, and you hope that the Erlang Shen character rises the level of play of your teammates? Or do you just put all your eggs in one basket? And if I'm Armada, I'm just putting all the eggs in a basket that is Cope.
Same situation, though, is that I can get it if you're going to abuse the support. That's what I'd be looking to do. If I'm Armada, this is a chance to go to the World Championships or at least stay in the tournament. Focus the Sylvanus. It's an Erlang Shen with pin, and then you've got the ricochet stuns from SmiteVOD. It's not an easy matchup for Sylvanus by any stretch of the imagination, but they're not abusing that situation at all.
Cope can definitely abuse this Sylvanus with that Sibyl Erlang Shen as soon as he hits level 5. All it's going to take is a pin from Sibyl into that turtle form knockup. Cope uses Gravity Surge, and SmiteVOD has a gift on his front doorstep that he can ult and get a free kill for. But Cope needs to hit level 5, and thus far is lagging a bit behind LASBRA in that regard.
Yeah, he was looking for a cheeky bit towards the red there, but he was already taken. That wall place down was spotted by LASBRA though and pinged out, so they're well aware of it as LASBRA steps towards the jungle again. All the ones on the left-hand side are blue at the moment, which means Armada really focused towards that left-hand side where possible. A couple of ones on the red side of things for Insignem, however, on the right-hand side of this map.
Different start for LASBRA this game. Last time he started Mace 1, built into some pen and a Void Shield. There's going to be a Soul Eater rush from him here in this game. Wonder what the main difference that makes him change it up is. Maybe the fact that Sops isn't going to be as aggressive early on as the Soul as he could have been on the Raw. The CC chain may not have been there. His healing also would have been a lot less because of the Circuit last breath would have shut down any healing Soul Leader would have given him. This game, he doesn't have to worry about that quite as much. Maybe those are some of the reasons that he could be going for Soul Leader instead.
Definitely keep an eye on Deathpanter as his game continues. His game 1 Giannis play was really important to this Insignem squad. Now he's on the Agni, and yet again, these bombs, the positioning, everything that he's going to do this game is going to be so calculated because it's a tanky lineup that Armada have, and a slippery one too, to be fair, that if he can find these right bombs, he can really get a lot of setup for his team.
It's a good point. Armada definitely went with a comp that can get away much more easily this time around. Watch Sops. He's lurking, blink in on Deathpanter, forces out the beads, but Cope's taking damage.
And the bomb over the top from Panther is just what they were looking for. LASBRA still going in though, and Sops got a good return damage onto him. Little bit over aggression from LASBRA there, should be punished. Panther's trying to help out where he can by zoning away mid. He'll live.
He will. Pin definitely won't be enough from that position. That's the difference between Awilix and Pele, where Cope goes in, does great work, and then gets smacked by the damage from LASBRA's volcanic lightning. That damage, the auto cancel is huge. That's what really does the burst. It hits pretty hard with that initial hit, but if you can time your auto attack to get right after that animation, get in there with that extra empowered auto from volcanic lightning, it goes from a pretty good ultimate to holy crap, where did he go?
sBennyQ having to run away now because Panther's made a rotation to this dual lane, but the ward coverage from Armada good enough to prevent that situation. I'm just going to try and look for a chance to look at that first blood again, but I keep seeing aggression everywhere for every 2 seconds. I'm like, is there a gank? Is there a gank? It's been so action all game.
That's the minor league for you. They love to fight, regardless of whether it's the best for it.
Let's go back then to that respawn first blood and have a look back at what happened here. The beats from Panther, actually, I believe, are really important.
He didn't want to get rooted by that feather step and crippled out, lose the dash potentially. The poke on the Sops was semi-relevant, but he holds a bomb, which ends up being the killing blow onto Cope.
Oh, the Path of Flames as well. Just tickled him as well. He just got his feet on it.
You call that tickling.
That hurt as well. And now Cope leaps away, but towards Zearoe. Zearoe has a chance to go aggressive on the Awilix. Panther and LASBRA both rotating in 2. The feather step's good, but the Ragnarok's better. Panther gets a second kill. Sibyl, Sops, and Bro can only watch on as Cope falls again.
This is what having a lot of pressure on your shoulders looks like as a player, where Cope feels like he needs to be making plays a lot more than he did in the last game. And it seems to be weighing on him a little bit. He goes for blink. Great if you're playing aggressive. Horrible if you're up against Fenrir and you fall a little bit behind. Zearoe finds him and gets an easy kill for it. And I really do feel for Cope because there's a team, Armada, that got further than they initially thought they would.
Sure.
In my mind, I mean, having confidence in yourself is one thing.
Agreed.
I don't know that anyone else in Armada really thought that they would end up going this far, beating an SPL team, eliminating Luminosity. But eventually, those sorts of mentalities of, oh, don't worry, Cope will carry us, will really start to weigh on you. And as soon as Cope has a rough game 1, now he feels that much more pressure in game 2 to keep making plays happen. He's forcing it, and it ends up with him having an early deficit.
LASBRA being chased through the jungle here. Cope's not done yet because Sop's got a bit of good damage off there. Dual lane from Insignem backed up too. Panther kind of isolated in the mid lane and can't really rotate to this safely. Instead, he's going to have to farm things up, but Cope and LASBRA still squaring off for the time being. His lane pressure stays on the side of Armada.
Nice little juke from Sops. This is a fight he can definitely take up against Deathpanter. Even though Deathpanter has that early Spear of the Magus, this early pen rush, so much better on Agni than it is on that Giannis.
Such an interesting matchup, this LASBRA versus Cope. Both of them really been leading their team in the jungle position throughout the year. Left hand side though, Ksier's in trouble. He was trying to rotate in. Great knock-up though, and the bomb after from Panther does good damage, but it's not enough for a kill. LASBRA though will turn up to get 1. Panther meanwhile does go down 2. The support rotation got punished.
Have a boost speeds alert. Deathpanter beats right in midair. Cope was able to punish him beautifully for it.
Cope baiting him in though, because Sops wrapping him on the back. LASBRA and Joshy don't know it just yet. They will soon, but they can get the kills before the fight starts. sBennyQ misses the ricochet. sBennyQ loses his life, and now Sops has to deal with 2 carries against him.
He's going to try and turn and fight here, and that may have just killed Sops. LASBRA ends up letting him off the hook.
Nice knock-up from Joshy, brings Sops into danger. The dive could be there. The black damage wasn't available, just avoids it. Sops still alive.
What is LASBRA doing, man? Pele does this better than any character in the game right now. hold W. That's all you have to do. You have extra movement speed. That should have been another kill onto the mid lane.
Well, instead they're going to go for the Gold Fury, though, so not taking those tower shots may help them out. Sybyl's the only one here. They need someone to control this, though. Great stun from Panther, just to make sure Sibyl had no chance of getting involved. Insignem, get the Gold Fury. Going
back to that fight on the left-hand side, I mean, it's a decent idea. Cope's baiting them in. You've got sops on the way. You've got damage from sBennyQ, but sBennyQ is 30% HP and just dive bombs literally straight into an airstrike. Just head first right in, get me in that damage, and Joshy basically gets to land and get an easy kill on him without any sort of second thought. This is the intentions were good from Armada. The execution was beyond poor.
Transcendence coming out for the whole year as well. Generally, most of the season we've seen different builds coming out. Devoure's Gauntlets, seen some, well, Bloodforge at times, but does he not benefit more? I mean, he benefits from damage, sure, but no sustain hit.
I agree. I think that Transcendence is a little bit worse on Hou Yi than the traditional Devourer's Gauntlets. I understand that Ricochet and Sunbreaker are very appealing abilities to get more scaling onto and more damage onto, but at the end of the day, you're not going to be hitting that many abilities onto everybody in the late game. You really just want to make sure you're hitting
Cope just found Joshy in the jungle, and that could be disastrous for this Jing Wei. Ultimate traded for beads, however, an important one from Joshy there to get away, but now there's a window where Joshy is vulnerable.
Still has airstrike, though. That's the thing. Jing Wei is basically never vulnerable.
Big fight over the Oracles here right now. No Gold Fury up. Big turn, though, coming out from Sibyl. And sops cleans up Panther. Joshy and Ksier, good up from Ksier to try and peel himself away. sBennyQ has to leave the fight. Only lose Panther so far to Insignem, but the damage is done at the moment, and I think the Sylvanus can still be in trouble.
Sops might be able to close the gap. Disapparate is right there. Perfectly aimed by Sops. They get 2 and they lose 0. But speaking of 0, he's going for speed buff.
Yeah, but the bad news is I think everybody knows this is going on. Oh, Cope just jumps in the pit. He should have known this. Ragnarok pop forces the beads out of Cope. Brutalizes good damage. Nice wall out of Bra, though, to stop that. And now it's Zearoe in trouble, looking for a kill. All he's got is basics left, but a quick feather step from Cope makes this a 5-5 game, with Insignem up about 1,500 gold.
Either Zearoe didn't know that Bra was right behind him, or Zearoe needs to get his head checked, because that is not the position you want to go in and take a 2-on-1 fight. I get it. Cope's low. He doesn't have the ultimate. It's appetizing. But here's the thing. Earth and Fury is kind of a dummy good ultimate, and it makes Cope take less damage, get healed, enjoy reading this novel. Zero's taking more damage. You can't beat this.
As you're reading that novel, realize one thing. It doesn't actually do any damage
right away.
Away. No, and that's why I'm saying this, because the Ancile on the Fenrir, right? So he jumps in on Cope, and the first thing Bro does is pop the ult. Now, if he would have used an ability first, he would have silenced himself, not be able to do the ult, which means Cope would have died because he didn't have enough health and defenses.
Okay, here's a little tip if you're playing Terra. Before you do anything else, press 4. There you go. And you're now a good team fighter. I mean, that's really how the ability works.
You're about to have so many supports in game, press 4 and then blink. I'm going to see that coming already now. Like, just stand still, ult, and then blink. It'll be fine. Don't worry, because Aggro Bailey said so.
Hey, man, that's me. Maybe that's the right play sometimes. You ult your team to get the heal, and then you blink to initiate. That's big brain.
We'll see if it works out. Zearoe rotating towards the mid lane there. Big grouping from Insignem around the right and harpies that are due to spawn soon. Zearoe goes a bit aggressive on Bra, mainly just to get back towards lane. Cope roaming this left-hand side again as much as he can, but there's pretty good wall coverage now for Insignem around the Gold Fury pit to get vision of this and deny it. Speaking of Cope, he's still 2 levels down on LASBRA.
sBennyQ watched LASBRA get pinged and still pushed up farther than he really should have. LASBRA took some conservative pathing in order to get a counter ward down, but if LASBRA had pathed aggressively, that could have been ugly.
sBennyQ knew that was coming and baited this out. Has to use his Aegis after the leap. Joshy's there for backup 2. The Sun's doing something. Not nothing, really. LASBRA still alive. Great pick from LASBRA. Disrespect from Benny there. There was wards. It was clear. He baited it, and it didn't go well.
You can't, even with LASBRA not having blink, Benny's dead in that position. Volcanic Lightning covers way too much ground to try and take a fight like that.
Now the Oracle's being looked at, taken away by LASBRA 2. He extends he keeps his experience lead, I should say, at 2 levels over Cope. Can we look at the experience graph anyway? Because I do want to see how this is played out. It's only 1,500, but that experience is on certain characters that are quite important to both teams.
Looks like Sops is going into more physical protection in this spot. I imagine this will be Celestial Legion Helm And normally I would be praising this decision because I do think this item is slightly underutilized in the mid lane. You end up surviving a lot of initial big burst. You want to pick up a Celestial Legion helm against gods that hit you really hard right away, because you get more protections, and then as you get hit by physical damage,
it goes down,
you start losing stacks. But you know what LASBRA's 1 does? It hits you, and then lots of little ticks of damage come back towards you, and that'll strip away your entire Celestial Legion helm nearly instantly. Here's the idea. I'll survive LASBRA's initial burst, and then I'll be okay. Here's the problem. You will never survive LASBRA's initial burst.
Joshy nets himself up as LASBRA and Rod trade in the mid lane, but that's a really good situation. But Joshy gets out! Panther got the kill! Stops forced to bees and disapparate! Sibyl left alone, and Zearoe gets the kill! Bra was there, he got his ultimate off, but it didn't make an impact at all. Insignem win a team fight and start to hold W down mid.
Where was sops' ultimate during that? He still got it, and that is a tiny little corridor where everybody's grouped up, and you get to do a lot of damage as Soul.
This could be a goal.
Maybe he got forced out too early, but either way, you got to drop it at some point.
Goal Fury is available, and yeah, Insignem are right over there, right about now. 2 members still dead for a while. sBennyQ has no, or he does have his ultimate, I should say, but I know Insignem know this, and that's why they're juking it back around, just to make sure sBennyQ can't get to it. And in the end, Insignem extend their gold lead now to around 4,000 gold.
Normally with an assassin in the solo lane and a traditional assassin in the jungle, you don't have that much AoE. That's where Agni's really good because he covers up a lot of those weaknesses. But Pele does have excellent AoE damage. Eruption is a nuts ability. And then Volcanic Lightning is right there behind it. In those tiny little jungle corridors, you are auto-attacking for, right now, it's 180 plus 40% of your physical power every time you auto-attack in an area. It is insane. So you can't stand in those little tiny corridors for that long and expect to be able to survive.
Well, the Fire Giant still stands, and that's where everyone's attention will turn to now. And I'm saying that it's 17 minutes in, because as this tournament's gone on, we've seen a hell of a lot more early Fire Giants than we have the whole season. I think it's been insane how many have happened pre-20 minutes, where a team has had an advantage there.
But at the same time, we've seen a lot of teams get those early Fire Giants and then not end up winning those games anyways. CLG.
All right, just rub it in a little bit more for him.
Just saying, in case maybe the fans weren't understanding my reference.
Well, they do now.
They do now.
And CLG will like you for it, I'm sure.
I
Left on Harpy's about to come up here, and they're going to go down for Insignem in the middle area, so are the Oracles too. This is really Insignem just trying to control as much farm as they can. Zero's his rotation, and I keep saying Zero's his rotation because he's here way more than Bra every time.
sBennyQ again in trouble. This time, Izagus is early. Volcanic Lightning misses, and it just doesn't matter. Look at Volcanic Lightning as a CC immune dash in that instance. It just doesn't matter.
Honestly, this is a good pick. Zearoe actually looking at Cope, can't find it. Cope trying to clear the camp and will do so. Meanwhile, Sibyl being pressured, but Insignem needs to be careful here. They're diving at tier 2 and looking for picks still. They're trying to run away with the game. Sops has no beads. Sops got jumped on. Sops has no life. Joshy gets the kill. Cope has to leap away. Rot and Sibyl the run. But the path of flames from Deathpanter cuts off the option. Insignem are routing Armada with a substitute.
Yikes, dude. That triple stun after the Path of Flames from Deathpanter nearly cost Deathpanter his life, but still managed to end up surviving. Sops didn't have beads, but he did have Supernova. Yeah. It's not a long CC immunity, but you got to trust yourself to try and do something in order to survive there. Getting picked up around the entirety of Insignem is death, no matter what. He had to have, he needed to try to use every available option to not let that happen.
Panther's having a really good set so far, and this is a player that made it to the World Championships last year, actually. He was with some of the members of House Sports that you see still competing in the tournament right now. And we'll actually get to see Mouse still trying to qualify tomorrow too, but Panther has been around the scene for a while. He fell down to the minor league, but him and LASBRA have been continuing this consistent race of getting towards every single LAN. And now they've got themselves in a spot where they could be just moments away from taking on Space Station Gaming for a spot at Worlds tomorrow.
Look, LASBRA's an SPL level jungler. It really is that simple. Deathpanter has played like an SPL level mid laner during this set. Armada hasn't been able to say the same about any of their players this set, and it's pretty easy to see how they've been outclassed in that mid jungle role so far this set in particular. But LASBRA's Pele is nuts. There's no doubt about it. It's crazy to me that we haven't seen as much Pele as we've only seen so much Pele as we have. I feel like we should be seeing way more. Pele is like
Benny.
good.
Oh, Benny. Oh, Benny, run, Benny, run, Benny, run, Benny, run. Don't run that way. Don't run that way, Benny. Benny the other way. Benny the other way. Not this way. Benny over the cap. No, Panther's there.
no.
Benny Panther's in the tower. Careful. Joshy's there. Benny Panther's there. Oh, no. Benny, where's your life? Goodbye, Benny.
He tried. There was nowhere for him to go. But where's the rest of Armada during all of this? I mean, they could have pulled fire during that, Graham.
I think they could have, actually. I actually think it would have been a bad call. LASBRA, though, stuck around a little bit too long, and Panther left as well. Could be punished, but it is a Pele. The dash into the wave heals him up, and
So
now the
smart.
bombs rain down from Panther, forcing Sibyl and sops back. Cope did get a tier 1 tower on the right-hand side here, as Bro's being chased through the jungle on his own at the moment, and now Insignem here to collapse on that too.
Really smart. Great pull coming from the center.
yeah!
Bro knocked up. That'll force out Earth and Fury. And oh, did you
Zero's
guys
got
order a
bro.
Cope, baby?
Oh, hang on a second. Zeroe is dead, so there might be a bit more over-aggression from Insignem getting too big for their britches right now, because now the turnaround is here. Insignem, yeah, they were winning, but you can't make mistakes like this, guys. You can't get overconfident. You're giving Armada a window back in the game. Joshy and LASBRA, the only two left alive. Joshy
Great wall.
falls. This could be a fire giant.
This should be a fire giant. LASBRA's level 19, but he's still a lone Pele without that ultimate. Armada should be backing right now and going straight to fire. Don't waste any time. Bruh doesn't end up backing. Could have gone back to base. He's a little bit weak. Does have the monolith heal, but it's going to be his job to tank up this fire.
Both teams need a bit of composure right now, as this fire giant is going to be important. LASBRA, like you said, probably the only one really alive. Actually, teleporting from Zearoe could happen. It's taken a while for Insignem to get here, but they're looking for a pick on LASBRA instead.
What? Why? Well, why? SmiteVOD needs to be on fire right now. He is your main objective DPS.
Oh, Cope versus LASBRA, but LASBRA's got a lot of levels over Cope right now. Zearoe on the way back in. Ragnarok into the fire giant pit, picks up sops and causes a problem. Gets the beads out of sops. Fire giant's still alive. LASBRA's still busy. This is a lot of damage for Armada to take, but they should still get the fire giant.
Zero's right there.
Ooh.
Armada still secure it. Cope does go down to
But
LASBRA.
Panther's back, and LASBRA's still alive too. On the run are Armada, now only 4 members with it. Ksier looking for a potential pull. The call from Insignem is to fall back. Accept the situation. 1-for-1, fire giant to Armada. What a
Risky.
game. What a game.
Risky to go for that, but at the same time, you're not getting a better shot than just securing it over Fenrir auto attack, so you have to go for it. And the dice come up with the Armada symbol face up. Gold Fury will go down to Insignem. That'll keep them in the lead a little bit longer. And Armada is not going to get these tier 2 towers for free. Insignem should be giving up tier 1s at this point. They're just not worth enough to throw your life away and potentially lose a game over. But a tier 2 at this point is certainly defensible if you're Insignem.
If you're Armada right now, you look at their levels, they just need to use this fire giant to farm, to try and even things up. Because
They need gold.
There's a couple of members on this team that have got so much experience ahead though too.
They do. They're
still mad.
Specifically Cope. Cope really needs experience badly. He's down 3 levels still.
SmiteVOD as well.
To LASBRA. SmiteVOD's down 2 levels. Those two really need XP, but you'll get those just by pushing these waves up. In
You're right.
Season 5, you get a ton of experience from these late game minion waves. So even if you're grouped in 3, 4, 5-way splitting, it'll make a difference.
Can you just keep that quiet about the extra experience? Because those support players, like that's our only time we get levels, okay? Don't go
okay.
telling everybody in the world about that. You'll get
My
bad
bad.
feedback on that one. Zearoe in an awkward spot, knocked up by the top of Sibyl, uses the Ragnarok and gets away. It's a tanky Fenrir after all. Backside of the pipe, though, LASBRA is slapping. But however, Cope is going to take out Zearoe at least. Now LASBRA is still trying to whittle down SmiteVOD in that, but a good old shell causes a problem. Cope gets pulled in by Ksier, and he's going to go around to Panther off the back of it, as LASBRA is still fighting the whole of Armada. That was close.
SmiteVOD finally puts him down. Ksier could be next. Ricochet wasn't enough.
He will be.
Bruh's right there. Great wall. Stuns Panther as well. Bruh gets 1 kill, and it could be more still for Armada.
This is self-punishment to Insignem, honestly. Just overextending themselves 2 fights in a row. The first one cost them a fire giant. The second one's probably going to cost them at least a couple of tier 2s in the situation if Armada play this correctly.
Zearoe just too far forward. What was he even doing there at that point? At least the
He's
rest
the
of his...
tanky, right?
At least he's a soul laner, and Insignem was there to help him out and bail him out at least a little bit. Cope dies without ever using that gravity surge.
Insignem just needs to settle down for a second. They're not out of this game, but they have allowed Armada back into it. It's an even game for all intents and purposes now, as the red buff and some experience are going to be stripped away from Insignem's jungle. Tied game, and actually, Armada in a bit of an advantage now with that tier 2 tower being down on the left. It means they have an exposed Phoenix to go for.
I don't know how much more they'll get from this fire, though, Graham. And if you're Insignem, you gave up 2 kills, 2 towers on the left-hand side, and a red buff. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. That's not bad at all. If I'm Armada, I'm grouping up, using the final moments of this Fire Giant to get this Pyromancer, because we need to really squeeze out every bit of golden experience we can from this buff.
Was a messy fight, but it's okay. The game is still going. 1-0 overall for Insignem, best of 3. Winner goes off to face Space Station Gaming tomorrow for a spot at the World Championships. And funny enough, I know Space Station Gaming will be watching this now going, this is weird. We got to deal with one of these two teams tomorrow. And moments of greatness from both of them. Actually, that's kind of Space Station. Moments of greatness from them, and then moments of WTF.
Yep, that really does sum up a lot of teams so far this week. A lot of teams have had that same sort of struggle. I think Obey Alliance is the one team that has had the fewest moments of what is going on right now.
Well, Pyromancer goes down. LASBRA was trying to flank around the back here. Big old minion wave in mid lane pushed up, so Armada have got their work cut out of trying to clear out the waves. Insignem need to just hold back for now. Should they contest the Fire Giant, is my first question.
Absolutely. They want to take a fight at the Fire Giant for sure. They've got great AoE, as I mentioned. The Volcanic Lightning is an underrated AoE ability. Cope is going to have an easier time at finding you where you are more vulnerable from behind during these jungle fights, but at the same time, I think it's worth it because you don't want to give up an enhanced Fire Giant now, because the Fire Giant's already gone down. It's past 25 minutes. That means this next FG buff is going to be stronger and more potent, so you don't want to be giving that up for free.
A lot of people always underestimate that, but it does help to end games and keep you sustained a little bit more, cause a couple more problems for the enemy team. Cope's now level 20 though, has this Magi's Cloak around him, which will be impactful for some of the CC that Insignem are bringing. Well, LASBRA's 7-1-6 still. He's put a lot of effort in so far. He's still got a bit more of his build to finish off, as does Cope.
Cope doesn't do a lot of damage right now. He's got 2 damage items, 2 defense items. So he'll do relevant damage, but he's not going to one-shot a carry, which Awilix really can do. Maybe with Gravity Surge, that's enough, because don't forget, you get a massive power boost from using that Awilix ultimate.
Fire Giant spawns, Panther stuns onto Sibyl just to get rid of the Magi's Cloak. Ksier is there just to drop a ward down and see if they've got a sentry. Of course they do. It's pro-level play, or close to it. LASBRA, though, in the mid lane, going to keep pressuring it up, making sure Cope stays with him. Those two going at it has favored LASBRA every time so far.
Cope does have anti-heal, but so does LASBRA. He's got enough pen, and you're right. Even with the anti-heal for Cope, I just don't think he could deal nearly enough damage to go mano-a-mano with this Pele.
The thing is, though, Cope's away from the fight. I think it's needed there for the shot call, and Sibyl pulled in with
this.
the Ragnarok. A lot of damage onto Sibyl, but not enough to bring him down. Ksier knocked up, Zearoe knocked up. The engagement with Insignem did not work out well at all. And now it's them with the Mamba loss. Sylvanus has died, LASBRA's going to escape. And now they're going to defend 3 on 5 at this Fire Giant.
Yeah, let's ult the tanks, everybody. Let's get right in there on the support. Not to call it all from Insignem.
Wasn't the big grace in the world. Deathpanter being pressured out by Cope now, but Cope may have bitten off more than he can chew. He's drawing attention from everybody as Brock comes in to help out. Sops cleans up Joshy. Zearoe still doing okay to keep himself busy as LASBRA was trying to get involved in the fight, but Sybyl's having none of that. Cope still dueling with the Fenrir, and the Fenrir is now losing the fight in numbers term. Zearoe is not having a good game so far.
Deathpanter goes down to sBennyQ. LASBRA, the only one left up, and again, he'll probably have to back it up, but these are some low health bars. sBennyQ is the only one healthy enough to really be able to tank this Fire Giant.
Here. It'll be fine. They can slowly but methodically surely bring this down. Unless LASBRA pulls something out of the air here. I don't know what. He's not going to blink. He's being zoned by 2. Fire Giant to Armada. They are now in full control of this game. And about 10 minutes ago, I said that about Insignem.
You called it. You're totally right. Zearoe has had a really, really rough game so far on this Fenrir. That engagement is just abysmal.
The first fight, you know when they were diving between in the middle left-hand side between the tier 1 and tier 2 when Insignem were in control?
Right, the one where Zearoe tanked some tower shots.
Well, he brought someone with him to that fight where his job was really just make sure that person doesn't come in, right? He was like, hey guys, I brought you a treat. That is not a treat that Insignem wanted at that moment in time.
That is a still alive Awilix that is now running around our living room, killing all of us.
Worst case scenario is what happened, and then the engagement after the fact just wasn't the greatest. So now Armada have a chance to siege up. This isn't an easy siege in my eyes, though, because the bombs from Agni, and I think we're looking at Panther again here, unfortunately, for the man of the hour that's going to have to step up big to be able to try and defend with these bombs consistently. and make sure the minions aren't involved and the Armada have to tank the Phoenixes themselves.
LASBRA is going to have a tough time now because he wants to really get into the back and disrupt. And that's a little bit harder on these Phoenix defenses, but overall, I agree. I do think Insignem can make some stuff happen. And I like what they're doing right here. Don't defend tier 2s. It's not worth it at this point in the game. So instead of defending, we've got time. Let's get this left side tier 2. That's 1,500 gold for the team. Opens up a Phoenix for us if we wipe the enemy team.
That's the key.
So we don't have to take care of it later, and they're back in time, theoretically, to defend this Phoenix, but they are a bit late.
Well, took a lot of damage for free there. Joshy, remember, has that Jing ultimate. Ragnarok onto Sibyl again from Zearoe as they look at trying to pick an Erlang Shen. This time, though, the damage is good. The Phoenix, but the turtle form keeps him alive. Of course, the Plat lad comes up big on the defense. Sops goes down to Zearoe. It wasn't clean, it wasn't pretty, but now Insignem on the power play again.
Aegis is there for sBennyQ. Ricochet's good, but not good enough. He goes down to Joshy. Cope doing what he can. Gets Deathpanter and is on the run.
He might be out as well. He's going to keep running, but no, he's looking for more. He wants to pick on Zearoe too. Looking for the Fenrir step, finds it. Not enough damage to bring him down. Just Shen. LASBRA supports his team, as does the Sylvanus. So it's 4 for 1. Bra will limp away with the Fire Giant. But that tier 2 tower, you remember a minute ago, as you can see the camera hovering, could now be a Phoenix.
It's not just that the tower's gone, it's that there's a wave there already, but this minion wave that just spawned for Armada may have taken care of it enough. This isn't a lot of time. 10 seconds on Sibyl, 14 on sops.
But Bra's trying to buy time, but he's already used his double dash. Now, at that moment in time, where's the rest of the clear? Going to use the ult to make sure they take more damage where he can. Walls crash on LASBRA, not enough to stop them. And now, this Phoenix will fall. Sibyl gets back, Insignem turn tail and run. The pin only hits LASBRA. LASBRA's telling the boys to leave, and Ksier's like, no, I will protect.
That's the true support mentality. LASBRA's A-okay. Sops just missed a stellar burst, so Ksier is also just fine. That left side Phoenix down, and that's perfect for Insignem because now that Fire Giant buff, it's only remaining on Bra, is only going to be there for 40 more seconds. Another minute, and Fire Giant respawns, and even after all that time, that left side Phoenix will still be down, still be exposed. Fire minion waves will still be coming down the left side of the map, and Armada has to respect that. They can't just send 5 members towards the Fire Giant without being concerned about their base.
This set has had more drama than half the Pro League games I've casted this season, and we're still at it. This Phoenix on the left-hand side, as you mentioned, will have fire minions pouring into it now, but the Fire Giant coming up, it's going to be awkward. Did you send Bra back? He's got no TP.
He's got no TP. He went beads. It's rough. Cope.
Sibyl?
Cope, maybe? No, man, I'm letting Sibyl go because he's apparently the Fenrir ult target.
That's true.
His cologne has something that Fenrir really likes.
Those pheromones, man. Those pheromones have caused some problems. It's going to be Bra on this side. It really was. I was going to say Sibyl maybe because he's got the mobility, but you're right, maybe Cope. Their head's over there, but I really think they need Cope in these team fights for shot calling.
Yeah, at some point I think you just let them go. Because you need to have so many fire waves hit your Titan with 2 towers still up and like 2 Phoenixes.
3, 4. Yeah.
3 probably isn't even enough because you've got minions spawning that I think you push it out to a certain point. I would have pushed it out a bit more than this, and then you just wait.
Here's an engage again. This time Sops gets hit by the Ragnarok from Zearoe and gets the beads out too. LASBRA did a very good job just zoning away in the jungle there, making sure his team could get in. But as soon as they get the beads out of Sops, they reset back towards the Fire Giant.
Absolutely. That's all Insignem needs at that point. There is so much CDR in that build for Zearoe. He doesn't need to worry.
LASBRA gets hit by a Ricochet. Zearoe jumps in on Sops. Sops doesn't have any beads, but he's still got to separate. LASBRA looking for the kill, but he gets bursted down already. Brock came up big, giving his team a big help. Automatic Ksier trying to get his team away. Zearoe under pressure. He's out of the fight. Remember, LASBRA's off the map. So is Zearoe. The chair is on his own. And he's going to fall down. There is the Sylvanus. Panther now caught the Aegis, the pin, the knock-up, the death of the Agni, and the Fire Giants in the face of Armada, shaking itself.
So I'm just saying that was perfect from Insignem. They get to get the beads. They can reset. They don't need to force anything. And then Zearoe jumps right into the teeth of the team, brutalizes Sops all the way down towards speed. LASBRA gets insta-killed, and I believe that was a lot of damage from Earth and Fury from Bra that really made the difference. The team fight recap tells an interesting story. Lots of damage from Insignem, pretty close to that of Armada. It's just that it was all spread out. There wasn't a single target that they were able to focus out in these team fights, whereas Armada's fighting and damage was more consistent.
Still towers remaining for Armada, and once again they've got the Fire Giant and everybody. Last time round, that middle Phoenix Siege, they didn't manage to get away with middle. To be fair, not everybody had the Fire Giant at that moment in time. You see the low-nose mask being looked at there. We see it now and again, mainly on these sort of gods that, you know, assassins that become front lines.
I'm pretty sure Zearoe just got that. I don't think he had it during that last fight, so that will end up helping him a lot more. He becomes nearly unkillable at this point, so even if he decides to brutalize a soul and bait his jungler in, then it won't be as bad.
Into left-hand lane from Armada here. Is this the call? Go for the clear the 5 minutes first, I guess, before the Phoenix, yeah?
Yep, and that's the Phoenix you want anyways, so you want to put pressure there.
True.
The problem is these fire minions will delay your push. You really shouldn't be sieging into fire minions. You want to wait until your Phoenix respawns, clear the last fire wave, and then start your actual Phoenix attack. I'd like to see Cope split push the mid lane. LASBRA can 1v1 him, yes, but at this point, if I'm Cope, I'm happy to take LASBRA out of these fights.
I'm looking at Relic situation for Insignem too, and if Armada are aware, they did burn the beads and the Aegis out of Deathpanter on this Agni, which makes it even more awkward for Insignem on the defense, and Deathpanter specifically on trying to stay safe and yet still clear the wave. Raw pressure in mid at the moment. I'd like Cope there more than likely instead to try and split the difference, and that seems to be the call.
Bruh's done great work in these fights, 5-0 and 11.
Yeah.
There is a cursed Ankh on the other side. Ksier picked it up. His timing with that has got to be perfect.
Super important on this, but in comes Armada to the base again. Pantering to pin over the wall as Sibyl attacks the front line up best he can. A bit more, sops is a little bit lower than you expect here, as they're slowly trying to poke Insignem under the Phoenix.
Sops gets bombed over the wall, loses a third of his HP, and then goes right back to the same wall. He's lucky he didn't get bombed again. You've got to be more wary of where Deathpanter is.
LASBRA's going to be careful about how far forward he goes against Cope here. If he gets in a fight, that could be awkward. Sibyl, hitting fire bombers. Ksier looking for a pick, doesn't find it. Broad tanking this up. Zearoe rooted in place too. Uses the Ragnarok, looks for someone to pick up, but the doggy's got no bone this time round. SmiteVOD leaps away from the bombs from Panther as LASBRA is still hovering behind them.
LASBRA looking for it, blinks there, Eruption is good, but Panther's already out.
And that's important because Armada can now siege the base down. The bombs are back and Insignem fall back, accepting the fate of the Phoenix. Now they have to defend 4v5 at the Phoenix in mid.
Ksier can't find the pull. First Ankh's already down, but so is Bruh's ultimate. That's the big difference maker.
Zearoe leaps in and immediately Armada fall back. Health bars still out pretty from Armada, but the health bars of Insignem are even worse. They've lost LASBRA to sops now. They've lost the middle Phoenix. They potentially had this game in the bag, Insignem, but mistakes have cost them, and we're going to a game 3.
Zearoe brought back, knocked up time after time, still gets up and over that wall. sBennyQ is focusing out the Fenrir instead of going for the Titan, but once Cope puts him down, now we can attack the Titan.
Titan will finally fall down. It wasn't clean. I don't think they'll be particularly happy with that performance throughout there, but it's a good result for Armada. It's an important result for Armada. Bruh, I will mention, he was huge in that game.
He was.
Cope struggled a lot, but Bruh did the duty as the Terra.
And Insignem, man, is so close, and really, Ksier, I really don't think he did anything wrong again that game. I mean, look, he's not going to be out here making every play in the world, but it wasn't like he was a serious detriment to that team. I think Zearoe hurt them more than Ksier did that game.
I agree, but I also think, I'm looking at Zearoe and what he did there, maybe he's trying to make up for that. And maybe he's trying to make those plays, make those initiations, but the decision-making of who and where to use them has really cost them quite a bit there. I think Insignem should have won that game, and that little fight between two tier 2 towers over nothing just wasn't worthwhile. It really hurt them.
Completely agree. It's the target focus has got to be there. It seemed like Insignem got a little bit caught up in the moment. They're winning. They're about to beat a team with their sub. You could feel the emotion for them, and I think it let them, their decision-making get away from them just a little bit too much.
The good news for you boys and girls at home, though, is we get a game 3 now between these two teams. So if you're still rooting for NA, keep it going because they've still got a shot. Same can be said for the European team too. Guess what as well? Weekend was right. He read my script.
Well, that certainly happened. What a fantastic game. Game number 2 in the books, and we're getting a third one for it. Bonus Smite. That's what we all signed up for. Still got the same folks on the desk. Tom, Weekend, and of course, J-Mac Tucker.
Hi. How's it going?
Doing all right?
How are you today?
Average.
You ready for a third game?
Hold on, you're average after that game?
I'm trying to recover after that game. I think that's really where I'm at here, to be honest with you. Third game is really what I'm looking for. Let's rewind, though, and take a look at the post-game stats brought to us by Axis Replay. Bruh. 5-0-14 for the solo laner. Fantastic job playing that Terra. I think that we saw a lot of Insignem playing aggressive as we expected them to, and Bro was the one to punish them for being aggressive.
Yeah, absolutely. He was killing. I think he was kind of underrated last game of what he was doing. He was doing a phenomenal job, and this game, they had no dive. Like, they weren't really a dive comp, and he was putting in the work both ways. It was amazing. I don't know how he was doing it.
He was fantastic on this Terra, playing better than I've seen him play on really any of the gods so far this weekend. And the big fight for me that really showed what he could do on this Terra was down at the back Harpy camp when he got a 3-man stun followed by a 5-man root on this Terra. I mean, the guy played lights out this game.
Here's the thing for me, looking at the post-game stats here. 4 players over 20,000 player damage. That's really what it's about. Bro was able to do it here on the Terra. Everyone but the support over 20 grand. Hot damn.
I mean,
the game, like the game played out wild considering Copebby died early twice, still managed to put in the damage. You had Bra, who was essentially carrying on Terra.
Yep.
What is that? And then Sops had these amazing ults. He was getting dove with no actives and still getting a kill and living.
What's really impressive to me is how well Insignem were playing, and Armada won despite that. Deathpanter on the Agni put on an MVP performance if he brought home the win. I mean, multiple 2-player, 3-player stuns. It was just incredible that Armada were able to kind of counteract that. When you're playing Awilix and you get behind, you don't get ahead. You just don't. How did he make the impossible possible?
You know, it wasn't him. It was his team, which is crazy. We've been saying, oh, it's all about Copebby. It's all about LASBRA, blah, blah, blah. No, his team put him in a position to do something in that game and then finished it out with him being involved.
How'd they do that?
Basically, it was just like I said. They'd get small picks every once in a while without him. He wasn't a part of those picks. And then he'd be able to dive in the back line after those picks went through. He'd get the cleanup kill, get out, and he'd get the farm he needed to stay in the game.
And more than anything, the tanks surviving throughout a majority of those fights. The one fight at the mid lane, at the mid Phoenix on top side was the only time I saw the tanks ever really get shredded, but they were already taking too many shots from the Phoenix beyond there. Insignem was able to capitalize on that, but beyond then, the tanks, they were just sitting there going, what are you doing? What is this damage? We don't care. Here's our damage right back at you.
Yeah, the answer back from Armada, I think, really was the key here. The ability for them to keep going in. And like we said, they identified exactly what we set up here. Look, LASBRA and his squad are going to be heavily aggressive, and we are going to pick a composition specifically to deal with said aggression. What I love about this is they had a plan, and they didn't execute. Now let me expand. They had a plan to let Awilix go early in the early game, and they didn't pull that off. But then they went to plan B, and they executed around the other teammates, and they were able to just bring it along home. And I think that's more impressive than if they just came out here, Cope goes 10-0, and they win the game. I think that's the more impressive way to bring home the W.
No, absolutely. And then the fact that they did kind of, they got the lead, even though they shouldn't have, right? They got the lead. But I think they're the ones who gave up the game. They were in full control for a very big period of that game, and then Armada just played around it. They overextends, gets a kill. Get another overextension, get a kill, go for an objective, get the lead back, get yourself the win.
What a change here as Sops has his brain on the Phoenix. What a change here. I mean, just a couple of days ago, every Twitter account in the Smite community was memeing Smite or a Sobek or a Titan, right? What's your target? You're going to... Right away, I think Cope getting in the faces of his teammates just a little bit certainly kind of helps, because I see Sops right there do exactly what I want my soul to do. Toss out the Stellar Burst, 1 or 2 basics, back on the Phoenix. He had his eye on the prize, and for once, it seems like Armada are objective-minded.
And that's the big thing, is he actually had a big shift of that from the mid-game until that portion. Earlier in the mid-game, he was holding on to his ultimate. He was just kind of willy-nilly throwing those Stellar Bursts. But once that late game came and once the sieges became the important factor, that's when Sops really changed gears.
I love that last replay where Zearoe goes willy-nilly into 1 and 2, because Cope plays that perfectly. He spaces himself. He's playing footsies like a fighting game player here. He goes in and then he turns around and just walks 4 paces, understanding that that's the distance that Brutalize is going to be able to catch up to. He comes back in once he has his Feather Step available. Just really flawless positioning coming out from Cope in that specific situation, and then the rest of the game kind of went his way as well.
I mean, I think he did that like 3 times. They had the throw on the first siege, and then he kind of saved the game by stalling. He got a kill on the Fenrir, stalled it out, got his team back alive, and that really is a pretty big story that goes unnoticed.
And there's the other side of things. Blink, knock up, and we'll see you later. We told you guys, this is his go-to pick. When the going gets tough, he goes Awilix, and it brings the game home